Tala Falava, and welcome to the Global Bus Figure Success Podcast. I'm Andrew Fa'avali, your host. Every week I'll be chatting with successful Pacific people from across the globe, unpacking their stories and, more importantly, picking out insights, lessons and golden nuggets you can use to live your best life too. This week we've got Keven Mealamu, all the way from New Zealand. I'm so glad to have Keven on board and someone of his pedigree. I'm sure you're going to get so much out of it. Because it's a global show, we'll just give you a brief introduction, and we'll do a different introduction for the audio format. But for those who don't know, Keven is a former All Black legend, really, and an All Black captain and an Auckland Blues captain. And he's a two-time Rugby World Cup winner with the All Blacks in the 2011 and 2015 World Cup. He's only the third person. He was the third person to play over 100 caps for the All Blacks, which shows his longevity in the game. But beyond rugby, there's so much more as well. He's an illustrator for children's books. He's an entrepreneur and a business owner. He's a community servant and has been elected to the local council around where he lives. And I think he'd agree. He probably say that most importantly, he's a husband to Latai and a father of two children. So it's just awesome to have you on the show, Kev. Grateful.
Thank you, Olo. Thanks for the opportunity. It's always nice to, we were sitting in Samoa about a month ago, and when you were talking about this opportunity to not only do the podcast but connect in, it's always good when we connect in with some faces that really bring back some good memories of what we were able to do, and especially on the rugby field back in the day.
Yeah, well, so we were in Samoa for, you obviously were a special guest for Cover Bowl Media's Rugby World Cup on Ireland, which is currently screening. It was good. I think I hadn't seen you in 20 years, I think. And man, when I think about that, where did life go, man? Feels like yesterday that we're running around chasing the ball. But I've had the pleasure of, I think when we last played together, 1998, that was pretty much my last year of proper footy, or trying to give it my best with a body that could function. And then I just sat back and then watched you guys, and man, it was a real it was just so buzzy to watch how your career unfolded. But in saying that it was buzzy, it was also not surprising, and it wouldn't have been surprising for many who knew you, because of really the character that you showed and the attributes that you have to go through to that. But bro, can we just take it back to where you were born and where you were raised, and just a little bit about your family setting?
Most definitely, Olo. I'm really lucky, when I think back to my life and where it started. It started in a small town in the Waikato, which is around the middle of the North Island for all of New Zealand, for all our from people that are listening from outside probably New Zealand and Australia. It's a small town, and it's really well known for its forestry and working in the mills there. So of all places, my grandparents, who are, I still see them, they were pioneers. They traveled to a place, it's a cold place as well, and that's a really odd place for some people of Samoan or Pacific Island heritage to go to. But they pioneered their way to Tokoro, which is a place where I was born and raised. And my grandfather worked at the mill there, and supported his family in Tokoro from the mill as well. And then, as all things happen in small towns, all my uncles worked there. My father worked there as well. And I just thought it was such a great place to grow up. Being in a small town like that, and the mill was thriving back in the days, back in the 80s. Back then the paper mill was thriving, and I always hear our dad talking about where the guys working at the mill were doing that well, that they're pretty much making what the lawyers were making in town. There wasn't so it was really cool, actually, growing up. When I look back, when you have a chance to reflect back, it wasn't really a place. I didn't see it really, where there was the have and have nots. It just sort of seemed like everyone was just pretty much, everyone was just happy the way they were. So I had a really good upbringing, growing up in Tokoro. my grandparents' house was just down the road. My aunties and uncles all lived close, so there was a real good sense of family and community. So I just, whenever I have a chance to talk about Tokoro, I always remember that place being a real big part of um, building who I am today, and giving me the resilience, giving me the motivation to want to be able to achieve some of the things I was lucky enough to achieve, and things that I still want to achieve later in life as well. But I feel really grounded and really lucky to be able to grow up in a place like Tokoro, because it had have all the themes that mean a lot to me. Where it was about family, and all our family lived close. It was about our faith as well, because that's we were at St. Pius, which is the Catholic Church on State Highway 1, where my grandfather, who was also worked at the mill, was also the conductor for the choir, and head of the mafukanga there as well. So these things that are really special to us, and I know probably our listeners of Pacific Island background as well can probably say their grandfathers did the same thing as well, so very special for us. Growing up in Tokoro was a really good place where we just could build good family, good faith. And one of the things, if you ever look up Tokoro, if you Google Tokoro, there's so many athletes that have come out of that place. So if everyone says there must be something in the water there.
Yeah, and some of those are like Quade Cooper, Isaac John. Who's the he played for Scotland?
Oh, well, there's so many rugby players. There's Maria Tutae as well. Like, and even if we go way back, we've got players like Walter Little came through there, like Jason Goldsmith. Honestly, we've got so many players that have come through there. And Isaac Boss, who played for Ireland as well, played there as well. Oh man, there's heaps all over. It's just there's definitely something in the water.
I feel like because the socioeconomic context might have been that they needed Pacific workers to get the cut the trees and bring them into the mill and do all that real primary industry kind of work. For us as kids, because my dad worked in the steel mill at Pacific Steel for 30 years. Man, they might have had those really hardworking jobs. We really, man, that was us. Say we're just playing outside until dark, and just enjoying our childhoods. And we look back and some people might have said, "Oh, that's a low socioeconomic place," but we didn't really have that attachment. We just were playing in the park with the kids and having heaps of fun, growing up, oblivious almost.
That's it, and just always grateful to our parents for enabling that for us. As we become parents as well, you always think to yourself, "Man, our kids have got it so good."
Yeah.
But it's because of our parents' hard work and their sacrifice for us to want to do well in life. So, just for all the successes we've been lucky enough to do in life, just a lot of credit and gratitude goes back to our parents.
Yeah, so tell us about why you moved to Auckland, because I remember when you guys moved, because you came with a really big reputation as this dude with massive thighs and really awesome flanker with you and your brother. But why did you guys make the move from Tokoroa to Auckland?
So it was pretty much around work at the paper mill. So obviously a lot of things were changing, and a lot of parts of the mill were closing down. So it was just an opportunity where Dad was made redundant. I say opportunity because he said we could either stay down in Tokoro, or we can go to Auckland and not risk it, but just the opportunity there probably gives us a bit more opportunity as a family. And I think from all my siblings, we were a bit hesitant because just when you're leaving your friends and leaving your family as well, it's we sort of couldn't see the big picture. But we got to a place where we all agreed, and that's I even think when I think how forward thinking our parents are, like they asked us, do we want to go? Usually it's we're going. So I just our parents wanted us on board with that, and so that when we moved up to Auckland, we did that as a family. So yeah, I think the rest is history. Now that I look back at it, there's just a lot of good things that have come from this opportunity. But like all things, you always grounded to where you were born and raised, and it's still a place where our grandparents lie as well. So it's still a place I'll hold close to my heart.
Also, tell us, because I've read that your dad was a bodybuilder, eh? So, and he's still, as we talked in Samoa about a month ago, he's still working out. He's still holding himself to high value, high expectations and things like that. Tell us about your parents then.
Yes, well, actually, maybe a couple of months ago, we were just, we unfortunately lost our mum. She had a long battle with illness, and just to lose someone that was the matriarch of our family, it's we've had some hard days. We have some good days. We have some hard days. But she was someone in our lives that when I look at our parents, our mum and dad, they're almost like yin and yang. Like they're just, sometimes you can see them as a total polar opposites, but what they brought to us was you just brought good insights, because you just keep on looking at both sides when you're making decisions. This decision, when we're making decisions about anything, our parents probably gave us the opportunity to just look at it from both sides. So both our parents were hardworking, and our dad's still with us as well. Mum's she was always thoughtful and compassionate, and I do see that in my dad. But dad was, I just loved the way that our dad was. When he knows it needs to be said, he'll say it. And he holds that, he holds that mana and that respect in our family, that he's the decision maker. And because he always, because of the way he always comes to a decision, and when he explains it, just, I don't know, I always feel not only compelled to listen, but end up agreeing with him as well. Just
So he's influential too.
He's influential as well. So when I think about our parents, really lucky that our mum actually was she was the first generation born in New Zealand. So we're second generation New Zealand born Samoans. But our dad traveled here from Samoa, and he's got a really special story actually. Just as a young person growing up, didn't get the opportunity to go to school because he worked for our family, and it tells us stories of him working in the plantation growing up. And one of my favorite stories, Alo, if you don't mind me sharing,
Yeah.
he always talks about sitting underneath one of the trees, and he used to watch his boss have lunch, and he would sit under the tree with his friends, and he would always say that his boss would sit up with his leg up on his chair and eat his lunch, while the workers would sit back and watch him eat. And he would turn around and say to the workers, even workers that are older than him, this is him talking as a kid, he would say, one day I'll be sitting at my own table like that.
Awesome.
And he always reminds us that some of the older workers that he was working with turn around and look at him and like, what are you talking about? So I think when we get a chance to talk about what does success look like, everyone's definition of success is different, and there's different motivations to that. But it's amazing when I look at what my dad's success looks like. Someone that's paid off, I don't know, all the houses we lived in, he's paid off the mortgages in there. And this is a man that never went to school. Smart. He's just, he's always very methodical with his thought process and the way he approaches things. So we're really grateful to have a dad that's really smart. He's showing us through hard work that anything can be achieved. And as we see him continue to grow older without our mum as well, we just continue to support and love him for what he's been able to do for us all as a family.
Yeah, awesome, man. And just in honor of your mum, what do you reckon the greatest lesson your mum taught you was?
Oh man,
I do remember her around the fields and that, and like I said, she felt like a really motherly and a mother to many. And then your dad was really quiet and had a big smile and friendly too. You know, he had that mana. So yeah, in light of your mum's passing, what do you think was one of the main lessons she passed on to you?
Um, and this lesson definitely alo. But I hope I'm that as well. But as my mum was always compassionate.
Mm.
You're just not someone to be quick to make judgment of someone. Just compassionate with people, never quick to judge. Um, just understood everyone had a story. So she was such a compassionate person, like always gave people the time of day. Um, but she had her own strength as well in that.
Mm.
So she's not a pushover. Mum was definitely not a pushover, but just compassionate with people. And I think people could, it's something that you can feel. I think that's something that when you talk about her presence, she just always had a lovely presence about her. Mum always had a lovely smile on her face. But when we had people come over to talk about her and talk about some of the great qualities she had, it became really clear as well that other people saw that in her as well.
Because I think later on we'll talk a little bit about humility, and I feel like they both personify or embody humility in kind of different ways, eh?
Yes,
Like a real kind of strong, a real strong presence, then a real kind of meek presence, which isn't weak, but which is strong, but kind of strong and soft. I'm not sure how to articulate it, but I feel like you know, they had humility common to them both, but it kind of manifested different. Um, when you came up, were you already in the New Zealand rugby system, or did you start from when you started at Aotearoa College?
I started. In the New Zealand system from college, and that was up in Auckland.
Okay.
We had a great mentor there. Mentors are awesome, aren't they? Just people that believe in you. They give you the people you can talk to when you need to try and find different ways to get better. Um, and whether we're continuing in business or sport, like it's always so good to be able to have someone that you can bounce ideas off and get a different view from. And Jeff Moon, and sadly he's passed away as well, but was someone that yeah, was lovely like that. He had done that for so many players, and I was one of the lucky players to be able to be under his guidance and his mentorship as well. And yeah, he helped me transfer because I used to play in the loose forward, so I never used to have ears like this and a nose like this. But moving into the front row, yeah, it takes a lot of learning. Like you have to do, it's like doing an apprenticeship. They always talk about that as well. Hey, hello, like when you're moving into a new position, especially the front row, a lot of the time that you're going to be there is you're going to have to learn with time. You go
Yeah.
through different experiences. No experience is the same. So you just have to pick up all these different skill sets to be able to handle what you might see, let's just say in a scrum.
So you started off in the New Zealand under 16s, but you were playing seven at that stage.
Yes, I was playing on the side of the scrum, um, and I was just trying to be like my hero, Sir Michael Jones. Trying to do the hair the same, trying to run the same. I was just trying to do everything that my hero was, and I suppose me and my brother Luke were the same. That's what we wanted to do. Just we had seen what motivated us, and we were trying to do that on the field.
Yeah, so man, and you guys kind of have, well, to me, and I'm sure to the public, you guys have that same aura and that same kind of stature that Michael Jones is always accredited for saying it's better to give than to receive, which is, because he was a Christian and he had a strong faith. But when he crossed the white line, he absolutely annihilated different people. And you kind of have the same, well, you definitely have the same aura about it. And so, what is it about that? Like, really nice guys, but when you cross the line, um, man, it's just dominate or be dominated. What is it that goes on? What's the switch that flicks?
I That's probably one thing I really respected in him as well, and I wanted to try and emulate, which is um, people always think of rugby as being an aggro game,
Mm-mm.
but with a when you choose to be and some people call it aggro. I just call it's physicality. And with physicality, that's a mindset.
Yeah.
So you choose to be physical. So if you're choosing to do that, you can turn that on when it's time to do that. When we talk about what does it look like crossing the line, I'm choosing to put my team first, and for me to do my job, being physical it sits up there with core rules. So understand that if we want to honor our teammates to be the best we can, then being physical, which is not aggressive, it doesn't mean trying to take someone's head off. It just means I'm going to be better than the other guy wearing the same number as me today.
And purely motivated for the love of your team.
For the love of our team, and yeah, that's our game. It's one of the things that you always have to bring to our sport, which is physicality. You can't execute in our game without it.
Yeah, and so there's a clear connection there. For you've said it's physicality rather than all this aggro and this unbridled, kind of unhealthy aggression. So, and then I think that's the other side of humility, is that you can bridle it, you can control it. It's this power, but this power with control. Is that what it is?
I like the way you frame that up, Alu. It's you're in control of your emotions, and sometimes I played the game for a long time. There were times that I probably didn't control my emotions as well as I could, but I think when I look at it in general, that's what it is. It's being able to be the most physical person in that contact, but it be at the same time be able to see clearly where's the opportunity, where does the ball need to get to now for us to be able to score tries. So it's rugby and some of our contact sports. It's where the fine line is drawn, where you've got to be physical with your body, and we always talk about in sport as well, is just body's on fire and your head's in the fridge. So you got to be cool and clear and exactly what you're trying to achieve on the field. But the body's got to express it in a physical way as well.
Yeah, I've mentioned to you, and I've mentioned to you that we're going through the Legacy book, which is James Kerr's book about the tenets and the principles of All Black success. And he does mention in there that you want to have clarity, intensity, and accuracy. And so going into the red brain, which is the irrational, that brain that's aggression without control, and rather than the blue brain, which is that ice brain or the higher order thinking brain, is not going to help you, your team, or your vision to win. So is this the stuff that Gilbert Enoka, the mental skills coach, was introducing, and how did it impact on you?
Yes, it was. Well, yeah, firstly, it was some of the skill sets that Gilbert was lucky enough to, when I say lucky, like this, it's the top 2 inches that makes the difference in high performance. It's the ones that are able to really seize that moment. And in order to do that, they're usually around high pressure moments as well. So when you spoke about it, which we call it CIA, which is clarity, intensity, and accuracy, those things are really what help you open up your peripherals, because when you're in these red-blooded moments, well, that's what we call it, we're really highly emotional. You tend to just be looking at things in tunnel vision. And in order for us to execute, it's a team sport as well. So part of that as well is there's connecting that's going on, there's communication going on as well. And that's really hard to do when you feel really emotional about something. Sometimes you feel tense. There's there's things that you feel physically when you feel under pressure. You feel tense. You don't see clearly. And when you're able to unpack what that looks like, or how do I perform better in these moments, then there's things that we want to do physically. We want to shake our hands out, shake our shoulders out. We want to try and loosen up. We want to try and, open up our peripherals again. So can I see both ends of the field? Well, I'm trying to see that just to try and open up my vision again. And then even
What do
just...
you do? Is that what? So yeah, is that what you do? Shake your hands and loosen up? Because I've heard someone, I think Richie McCaw stamps his feet on the ground to ground himself and to get back into the blue brain. And I think it's Kieran Reid looks to the furthest most point in the stand to gain perspective. To
Yeah,
get
so yeah, Alo, you make really good examples there, and what you're trying to do is give yourself what are some cues that can help you put you back into a blue head or into clear thinking again. And so people often ask, why do people rip up grass and rub it on their hands? Some people actually use that to put them back into the space where, okay, clear thinking, what is it that I have to put themselves back in the moment? This is like what we like to call it is we've got to be back in the moment now, not worrying about what happened before, what might happen if we don't win. Most of us are just trying to put ourselves back in the moment, be in the moment, which is what is it that I have to do next?
So have you got an example of a game where you felt red? You felt red and you had to really work hard to come back to the blue brain?
I do, Alu. And I think the moment for me, it happened heaps, but probably one of the most highest pressure moments would have been the 2011 Rugby World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was only one try scored in that game. And our try that we scored, it came from a line-out. And so it was a line-out move that we had practiced for this. And there was some movement in the front of the line-out, movement at the back. I threw the ball in. The ball goes down to a prop running through the middle of the line-out to score a try.
Yeah.
And when you can just explain it like that, you just think, oh yeah, it just happened like that. But there's a lot of timing in it. So it's not just me that's in this movement. The whole lineout is involved. So everyone's timing needs to be down pat. But leading up to that lineout, I'd lost several lineouts leading into this lineout. And there was one as well. There was one just before that as well, which was down in our own down in our own 22. It was about 5 or 10 meters out from our lineout, which I knew we had to win. And we were lucky enough to win. But yeah, I had already overthrown one. One had been cut off, and so my head was just a little bit. I was thinking about those lineouts that we had missed. So going into this lineout, it's from a penalty, so which is great because you know exactly what we're going to do. When as soon as they say kick to the corner, I'm going. Well, I need to start going through a couple of things just to get me back into the moment. Yeah. So breathing is really important. And then just understanding what is it that I have to, what is my role right now? So get the call, execute the throw. So that's a really cool moment to share with you because if you remember back to the game, everyone just remembers the lineout. But I can still remember the lead up, like the
yeah. What was going on, the mind games.
Oh yeah, there's so much of that. So that's probably a chance that I actually got to put that into, put some of that into good use.
Yeah, I like it because I do remember it, man. It just opened up, like the Red Sea, and then who got the line out? Kaino?
Yep, I think Jerome caught the line out throw, and he just popped it down to Tony Woodcock running through the line out.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, but everything had to work like you said with timing, but in the book it also says capability times behavior equals high performance. So if for me, we've got a capability framework and it's knowledge, skills, tasks, and attributes.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing for the capability of that line out was you had to know the core. You had to know your skills, so you had to know what skills. So you're talking about you had to execute, which as a former hooker, it's about how you stand, it's how you throw and how you end up with the throw and stuff like that. Yes. And the task was right there, and then the attribute really for me in this case was getting your mind right. And it feels like on those 4 elements of capability, you nailed it. And then it was the only try of the World Cup final, and it was the actual World Cup that the New Zealand whole of the nation was waiting for, because it'd been a bit of a drought and we should have won a couple before that.
I know, and you hit it on the head there. Alo, it's just when you understand the situation, which is we haven't won the World Cup in a long time. Well, this is played back at home, and all throughout the week. You can't walk out of the hotel. It's just seas of black.
Yeah.
And leaving to go to the hotel, you see almost every New Zealander on the street. So it's really hard to, unless you were sort of a part of that, to understand what the pressure felt like. But in saying that, all those principles that you talked about, and I'd probably add in there as well, that's me doing my job, but also throughout the week. And as we plan for our line out like this, there's a lot of alignment work going in.
What does that mean?
So just understanding, for me, I just need to understand clearly, you need to be in this, for our line out jumpers, you need to be in this exact spot. If you're half a step off, that throw is overthrown. And if we don't sell the rest of the movement, the opposition don't do what we'll plan them to do. So there's a big alignment piece that I have to do my job, but trusting everyone else does their job really well as well.
So what happens after you score? Because you can get red-haired after wins too, eh? Like,
Yes.
I remember the Warriors, they used to get together and breathe after a try was scored, which I know was introduced by Kieran Reid, wasn't it, to the Warriors?
Yes.
So,
Well,
how do you come out from the furor of, getting all of that stuff right?
I think there's always, I think, part of that from our point of view was also learning what is it that puts us in the red. And so we started doing this because we had to start doing this because we were starting games really poorly, and we're trying to figure out what is it. And then, as we start looking a little bit broader, take the game away and look at our preparation throughout the week, one of the things that stood out for us is that when we put a lot of energy into understanding what does our haka mean and how we do it well, we were all just in this space. We were just super hyped up.
Yeah, that's right.
Finished doing a haka that we all feel we know a lot better, and we feel connected to it. But we just end up in a space. The downside to that as well is that we're really emotional, because that's part of doing a haka, is that putting yourself into that. So probably that's where firstly came really apparent to us that we need to do this before we start the game, just so we get us.
Yeah, so how do you get that third space between performing that really emotional haka, connecting to all the legacy that's come before you, the culture, the indigenous culture of Aotearoa, and then getting into game time? What did you do between?
So that breathing part that you talked about, that's something that we needed to do before the game.
Oh, true.
And then even bringing back, or just being clearer, just bringing us back into the moment. This is what our kickoff looks like, or when we receive the kickoff, this is where we're looking to go.
Being technical again, going back to logic and technical aspects of the game.
Most definitely.
Cool, man. What was it like leading the haka? And tell us about the because was the Kapo Pango haka introduced, like during your tenure, eh? So what was it like leading the haka? And were you the first Samoan to lead the haka?
No, I was privileged to be able to come in after Tana had led the haka for the All Blacks. I think Jerry had as well.
Ah.
I feel very privileged to be able to be in that space and leading our team, especially being a full Samoan as well. So I tell you as well, like just preparing for it, like you still feel the nerves and butterflies of a game, but also the nerves and butterflies of, man, I really want to do this well, because I represent not only myself and my family, but I'm representing our whole country and Māori as well. So I wanted to be able to do that really well, that they feel proud that I could do that for them in our country. So I always felt proud doing it. I always felt nervous. I always wanted to make sure that I was up, that people felt proud that I did that well. And a good story coming from that, actually, in my last haka that I led against Australia at the 2015 Rugby World Cup. Usually I like to lead from a little bit closer to the back of the haka, just so my voice can project forward, and that I'm connecting our team. So as I'm carrying haka, I'm trying to connect our team. That's for us, you know. And being shorter and in the middle of a haka, I didn't realize until our doing kapa o pango that until our boys went down into one knee, that Australia, they hadn't set up straight ahead of us. They had set up just to the side of us. So as everyone was going down, instead of facing forward, they're all turning slightly to the right.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see that because I couldn't see everyone.
So got disconnected in the connection.
But yeah, that our kapa o pango was special.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity to get to be a part of building something that represented everyone, all the different cultures that are represented in New Zealand, and something that meant that we're able to connect to a lot better as well. And it just sits hand in hand with kamate, you know, like not one is better. They complement each other really well.
So how do you make the decision which haka you're going to choose for a particular game?
It's usually the conversation that the captain has with our leader or who leads the haka.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, usually when we're down in Wellington, it's kamate. It's always
The te
kamate.
rauparaha.
Yes. And then as we travel, it's a conversation. It's a feel of what does the week feel like. So it's always, yeah, and I know everyone must think that one is held in higher esteem to the other, but with what we've been able to learn and the engagement and what we know from it as well, like we just it's just they're both separate, but they both sit together. So
And that's what I love because like is in the book it connects high performance to Maori culture and the stories that have gone before and the connection to the land, the connection to the myths of Maori culture and to the legends like Te Rauparaha who wrote the kamate, and it's all entwined and it's all embedded. And I think this is the way forward, is that just this holistic and all embracing of all the beauty of the different cultures, whether it's ethnic culture or organizational culture. It brings it all together, and it feels like what this guy's saying, who authored the book, is this is the reason why actually the All Blacks are the most successful and sustainably successful team in team sports history. So I love how that's a really grounded decision in Wellington, because Te Rauparaha was from that region. We're doing kamate in respect and in light of the history.
and Alawa, isn't it? It's just a strong identity piece.
Mm.
Like just understanding who you are and who you represent I think is really important. In my time as well, we spoke of Dave Gallagher,
Mm.
All Black captain that died in war, and we as we approaching games that he played in as well, we really want to be able to honor that person. We even talk about people like um, our past All Blacks that have gone, and also people that have been able to, like Sir Edmund Hillary.
Mm.
You think about he's a great New Zealander. We think about some of the traits and some of the things that he was able to achieve with his traits that he had that we are familiar with as New Zealanders.
And that, to me, like when you come around designing successful organizations, it is absolutely identity, and it's also narratives and themes, theming. And I think I might have mentioned, I think I talked to Keven Sangiu one time, and he was telling me um about the Crusaders and how they used to theme every year. And I'm pretty sure this is a common thing now. Were there any themes apart from Sir Edmund Hillary and that you remember that really resonated with you in the teams that you were a part of?
Um, One that I really loved in my time as an All Black was just it had this aspiration to be the to be the best team. Like we weren't talking rugby, we were just talking about being the best team out there. that's ever been around. Like you look past any of the rugby teams and you start looking at was it the Chicago Bulls team that was able to win all their championships together. You look at some of the football teams and you just or even some of the I know I'm just
like
talking
Man
about
United and
yeah.
like Manchester United with
You look at all these legacies that teams have been able to put in, and you say, well, if we want to get to the top, we've got to look past rugby itself and look at what is it that all the best teams in the world have been able to achieve, and then that's the class that we want to measure ourselves against.
wow. Right, because you know how the I mentioned man Jerome Luai
Yes,
like after the Penrith grand final in his Instagram, it was just really simple: winners win.
yes.
Is Does that kind of show because they've won three, and they've been in four, so that's sustained success. Does that kind of show what did you get out of the finals, having watched the NRL finals and seeing their success with what Ivan Cleary's done and just that group of players from out there?
Oh, I really love the way that panned out, and just if you watched it, like it's like watching fairy tale.
Yeah,
I
truly.
don't know. I was watching a 65 minutes and I was like, but it's almost time to turn off the TV because I think pretty much everyone thought, oh well, the Broncos have got it all sewn up.
Yeah.
But then you just and one of our good friends when I talk about league players that inspire as well, like Brad Thorne was an All Black.
Oh,
We spent quite a bit of time with him, and as we were going through our time through World Cup in 2011 as well, he spoke about his experiences in going to grand finals and that as well, playoffs and that. And he just said, like, how do you keep backing up moments? How do you go back to back with moments? So it's not just one moment. How do you back up another great moment with another great moment? And that's something we saw from Cleary. Like set up the first try, then he does a 40-20 to set up a good field position, sets up another try, and then he scores the last try. Like it's not just one moment. We're not just talking about him doing one moment. We were talking about him doing one great moment, backing that up with another great moment.
and when we were talking before recording, you mentioned that they had mentioned in the aftermath in the interviews about preseason. Do you just want to, mention what your thoughts were when they were saying, these are things that really won way back then?
Yeah, I love the way they referenced preseason, and for all our no, we're not going to say that everyone understands what does professional sports looks like, but preseason is the moment where it's where teams are built, and how do they build that? Well, they build that through hard work, and so and what I mean by what does hard work look like? They'll test players. They put them through a lot of fitness. They want you to feel uncomfortable, so that you start building up more and more resilience, that you can handle moments with it that they get tough. That's what I think. That's what preseason is about. That's how you do it as a team. And I love the way they reference it. One of them, I think remember hearing one of them say that
Yeah.
these moments we can attest to the preseason.
Yeah.
And I love that because that's what the game looked like. When everyone thought they were out, they were just getting ready to bring it all home. They're still in the fight.
Yeah. So tell me about one of the most grueling preseasons you had.
Oh, there's 15 preseasons in there. Hello. they
Every
all
single one.
they're all grueling. And to be honest, when it all changed for me is when the mindset changed. And so there's, I think in a career that spans over 15 years, there's definitely wisdom that starts coming with it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you're still young, so doing the preseason, just like fresh legs, fresh mind, new to this, excited. Then there's obviously a middle part where you go through, which is like Probably you sort of feel like you've been there a while now and understand how things work. So you sort of cruise. There's a cruising moment. There's a cruising part to it. But in the back quarter of it, Alo, there's a part where you go, man, I really want to, now that you know that you're closer, I really want to do this well, because these are the last years that I want to be able to leave something. So that's what changed. The mindset changed for me, and I started looking at preseason a lot different. So I started turning up to preseason in a lot better mindset, but also a better condition.
Oh yeah.
So I've, instead of leaving it for the first day of preseason, I'll just be working throughout Christmas and just turning over, so that it wasn't so much of a climb to get there.
Was that also related to the fact that you're a leader and they probably had you had people looking at you?
Oh yeah, and it was always tough coming back from when you're lucky enough to be an All Black. There's always end of year tours, so the season doesn't finish after NPC, which is usually around October. Usually finishes the season finishes the first week of December, so you end up coming back to preseason late. But when you're a leader, you just always know that you there's new players that join the team. They'll see you for the first time, and you don't want to be that leader that's being dragged at the back. And that can easily happen because you still need time to freshen up and to come back into the next season feeling really good and ready. But yeah, as I got into that back quarter of my career, I knew I couldn't be turning up to preseason in poor form, so that because I wanted to lead and I had to lead straight away.
Was there any part of you that thought, but man, surely they could give me a break? I just finished the tour and they were having a break?
Um,
Like,
I
in terms of the expectations of the youngsters?
I think that's the way I thought. In that middle part where I was feeling a little bit comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Then when I understood, well, what is that? How do I lead properly? Then usually, usually that's by what you do and what people see.
So can we talk about leadership and obviously you had some really strong, obviously you had some great leaders that you're under, but can you just tell us about some examples of great leadership for you that you saw in your rugby career?
Yes, and I think the cool thing about teams that you see different types of leaders, which
Mm.
is great. You see some that are if we use Richie as the first person, I love the way he led, because it was just because of the way he just led with integrity. And if you ask me what does that mean, it's just whatever he said he was going to do, that's what he did.
Really?
So there's nothing to question in what he says, because he's going to do it. He's going to do it with the intention that he speaks of. I love being able to Jerry Collins, the late Jerry Collins. I was lucky enough to be under his leadership as well, and and why I bring him up as well, because he's a different leader.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He would always call himself. He would always say to me and to our team as well, as he will say, I'm a soldier," which
Oh,
means just follow me. Follow me. I'll show you. And
really?
you love that as well, because for our viewers that are out there, he's such a physical player.
Mm.
They just never took a backward step, and he was one of those players on the field that if you were on the opposition side and it was your turn to carry the ball, you'd be looking to see where he was on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I love leaders like that. And then leadership as well also means you have to do that from different positions.
Mm.
Um, one of the guys that I was lucky enough to connect back in with and do some work with the All Blacks this year was Liam Mason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what I really loved about his leadership as well was at the 2015 Rugby World Cup, he didn't get much game time,
Yeah.
but the way he carried himself in the World Cup, he just did whatever the team needed.
Mm.
That's a leadership in itself, because it's selfless.
Yeah.
it's hard being at a World Cup and wanting to be out there playing the games. But he's such a selfless leader that put the team first. So he always made sure he prepared those guys playing in his position, or prepared the team as well as he could, and that's part of that success that we see as well.
It probably mirrors what you did, because a lot of your caps came off the bench, and this was at a time when, because there's been a bit of a evolution, because everyone before the bench, it was just that you start, and if that starter gets injured, then you come on. And so being on the bench was kind of a mindset where you didn't want to start off the bench, you wanted to start. And quite a number of your caps were off the bench.
Yes.
How did that feel for you, and how did you deal with it?
It's actually, to be honest, to start with, it's quite a hard thing to hear.
Mm.
It's usually part of the mindset that you want to be the person out there, usually that starts the game. And I was no different. I wanted to be out there. I wanted to be out there from the first kickoff, from 0 seconds when that person kicks the ball off. I wanted to be out there. So having the conversation with coaches and hearing them say, Kev, the best that you can do for our team, you can do some great things off the bench. We'll need you at that time of the game. And I was just going, yes. And it was just going in that ear and out the other.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. Hello.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear. But yeah, there's some, for me, I can remember some really clear moments in a game that really put a full stop to that. And it's just moments where you take things for granted. And I'd seen a test match slip away because of the way I approached a moment in a game, and to see a test match slip out of our hands, and it's pretty much because of the way I approached that game.
Oh, really?
We've always had this awesome respect playing against the Springboks, and there was one moment, there was one test match that we played down in Dunedin. I was coming off the bench, and I think it must have been, every time it finishes the first half, you go in, and then in the second half, you're constantly looking up at the coach's box.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm here.
Yeah.
And you see everyone else go on the field, and then which makes you even more you start getting an itchy bum. You don't want to sit down, and you're sprinting faster and faster up and down the field to see if the coach will see you. And then it's down to the last 10 minutes, and then our manager Shandy comes up and goes, "Kid, get ready, you're about to go on." And I was so oh, damn it, man. So I just got up, took up a tracksuit, and yeah, I'm ready to go. And I was just in this mindset that, when I got on the field, I was trying to chase everything. Just trying to chase the ball. I was in the red. We were talking about the red before, emotional, not seeing everything. That was me in that moment. And it came down to one of the last plays of the game where I was on the side of the ruck. And my job there is to make sure that the 9 passes the ball, or if he runs, that's my job to tackle him. So he's at the ruck. He passes the ball, or I thought he passed the ball, and I was chasing his pass, but he did a dummy. He ran straight past the place where I was supposed to be protecting. He kicked the ball over the fullback, the last person in the line. He caught the ball, scored the try, and won the test match.
Oh.
So, when you got those aha moments, that was those aha. I never took another one for granted after that, so.
Well, that's pretty honest reflection, man. That's a really honest reflection. But it also shows that there was lesson learned. Yeah,
and it was a shame it took that long to do it, because after that, once I understood that, it was probably things I could pass on to my teammates as well. And one of the things I feel real proud of, especially in my time in the All Blacks, that's what we were known for. We're known for finishing test matches. When we get to the dying stages, last half of the game, we'd finish better than most other teams. We could come back from the death. And not to say that it's not me, it was all our teammates, but I feel proud to be in an era or in a change of the game where it was new and we did that really well as a team.
Man, and that's why because you can reflect and you can be honest in your assessment of yourself, and then and then it never happens again. But man, just even that story is a privilege to hear, because it's that vulnerable, and it's that it's that true reflection, and then it's unpacking how did we get to this place, and it started from I guess, yeah, I'm sure every person who's come on as a replacement has seen, because the time is running out, and you want to contribute.
Yes.
So it is, everyone can empathize with the man, you're going red, especially when everyone else is going on. Um, who are some of the best coaches? And also I just want to know about the battles with the others, because we talked about it, man. South Africa were massive, so your mindset is probably different to if you play another kind of team. Australia generally had a reputation for expensive rugby and stuff like that. How do you get ready for all that, and which style do you prefer?
Oh, you know, I think when you get a chance to play against the best of the best, it's always there's not much. There's the margins are a lot smaller,
Yeah,
as in they're all pretty great at what they do. But in the different teams that you'll meet, you'll see a style of play pretty much which is like it's it's a style that they've always there's a thread actually of a style that they play that's been with a lot of the teams over however long they've played.
yeah.
And what I mean by that is if we're playing against the Springboks, we know you have to be ready for the physicality.
Yeah, yeah.
they their forwards especially are big, but they are the physical as well. They won't disappoint you with what they bring to a test match. I think when we play against the Aussie teams, like the best Aussie teams I remember playing against, they just never give up. They're gritty.
Yeah, yeah.
That's something that I always saw from them. They from the Australian forwards when we play against sides like Argentina, um, playing against some of the South American sides, they can be quite emotional. Just like
Yeah,
the
that's right. To see when they're singing the anthem, mate.
anthem, you see the tears running down, and you love that. I think it's a great quality to have when you hold your country and you hold your team like that. So you have to be prepared to play against a side that's always going to be passionate.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, what about up there? Like, obviously the All Blacks are getting ready for Ireland, and so what do you think they're thinking?
I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us. Um, you know, I think when this is probably the first time that the two teams will go into this, that the shoes on the other foot.
Yeah,
So when I look at the All Blacks, they lost to France, but they've built some really good momentum coming into this match.
yeah,
It's going to be the challenges. That preparation's got to be genuine, because when you're playing against sides that you should beat, you want to, if the preparation is not genuine, then it gets hard to live for the what's next.
Mm.
And
What's some
then
of the things that stop you from having a genuine prep?
oh, so I think when I'm want to talk about that, it's just probably not letting your foot off the gas.
Mm, mm.
So just it's got nothing to do with who you're playing against. Your standard of preparation should always be of that level, or the level that you're striving for.
Held internally. It's an internal expectation.
It's not held against who you'll be playing against. So I think that's probably what I mean when your preparation has to be really good.
So how would you prepare the All Blacks going into the Irish team? What would like say you're in the senior leadership group? What are some of the things that you'd be doing in order to prep your fellow soldiers to get into this quarterfinal and get through it?
Um, it's a good question, Alo. I think well maybe it's hard looking at every team's got their different styles, but I can probably talk about what it looked like in 2011 and
Yeah,
2015.
that'll be
So
great.
I think going into 2011, I think we were playing Argentina in that first quarterfinals. And so I think just understanding the moments in 2011, 2015, really it's about controlling you. What are you going to bring? Sometimes you can waste a lot of time and energy worrying about the opposition, but actually if we're at our best and we prepare as well as we can and really enjoy the moment, that's what we're in control of. We're not really in control of what will come across the other side of the field. So I think in 2011 it was Argentina, and in 2015 I think it might have been France. So everyone spoke about, the last time you played against France was in 2007 and you guys lost. Does this mean that you guys are trying to rectify what happened last time? It was just like, we never even thought about that. It was just...
Really, you blocked that narrative out.
Yeah, sometimes that's what people are trying to do to build a story into the...
Well, that's how it is, because that's me. Obviously the media won me over because I was like, man, yeah, we got to beat them because they pissed me off at that other one.
But I just think there's this, you really have to, it's, when you get to these games, how are you preparing? How are you preparing yourself? How are you preparing your team? Is it genuine? Are you doing that really well? And then that's you taking care of all the controllables. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. You don't know how they're going to turn up. You don't know how the referee's going to see things. You got to prepare yourself the best you can be.
Yeah, because in the book it says know thyself. That's there's a big part of it about knowing yourself. You know how sports psychs, they always say write down your goals, and we heard that Richie McCaw had some really technical things, and then he wanted to be a great All Black, not just a average All Black. Or there is no average All Black, but he just didn't want to be an All Black. He wanted to be a great, and obviously his goal has come to fruition. What do you mind asking what were some of the things that you wrote to shape your mind before a game?
I think so. When I think about a game, it's just maybe if I look at it a little bit from maybe take a couple of layers back or step back a little bit more, it was definitely around legacy. So I think about what is it that I wanted to leave behind. For me, that's Jersey being in a better place, but also something that I wanted to leave behind, something that myself and my family would be proud of as well. So that so that's something that always helped me, or helped me set a standard, if that makes sense. That sets a standard for, okay, what do my behaviors look like? If this is what I want to achieve, which is something that my family and myself will be proud of when I leave this jersey, then that sort of controls the behavior of every day, if that makes sense.
And that still influences you right now in your entrepreneurship and with your family and with your community service work. Is this still, are these habits still, going through your life post footy?
Yes, I'd like to think so, Alo. It's just having that driver behind everything that I do. I even think about it when we go into I think when we were talking about this before we before we were on live, which is, if it's something that you feel really connected to, if there's the bigger purpose to what you're doing, you'll always find a way to do it better. Especially when things start getting a bit challenging, or you think you're having to take a risk. Well, you should, hopefully these things or the why or the purpose comes to the forefront and really encourages you to do that really well, to do it at your best.
And looking back at your career, just to close out the rugby, what was your favorite game? What's the favorite game you played?
One of the ones that stand out for me, Alu, was in 2003.
Yeah.
And that game was at Eden Park against the Wallabies. And why that was important for me, it was game 3 of the Bledisloe, and it was the time we won the Bledisloe Cup back. and so we hadn't had it in. I still speak of this of when I used to watch John Eales
Yeah,
get lifted and stop the ball from going over the
yeah.
goalpost, or when he used to kick the goals.
He was the man, eh?
He was the man. Um, and so it's a privilege, and we've had it ever since.
Mm.
But being a part of a team that actually brought that back, because yeah, it's quite easy to overlook, but actually, yeah, that's it was. I really enjoyed that game. I felt like I had a good game in that as well. So
Who were you playing against in that game?
I was playing against Brendan Cannon, I think.
That guy, eh? How about when he tried to have a rumble?
Yeah, he's tough as nails. Um, and bloody the funniest thing is we're good mates off the field. We really respect each other. But these are the moments, when I say like rugby is a fine line of like
Yeah.
control. Yeah, well, he probably lost control first because he hit me, and then yeah, it was just how I just reacted straight away as well. So
And so just in terms of your favorite game, who was your favorite opponent, or who was your hardest opponent?
um, there's heaps actually, Alo, but maybe if I could just there's heaps, but like there's so many that I was lucky enough to play against. But one guy that it was always tough to play against was my good mate Andrew Hall.
Hmm.
He's a fellow All Black as well, but playing against him because I played in All Black trials against him as well.
Yeah, yeah,
The days when they used to have trials for All Blacks.
yeah. He was a farmer, eh?
He was, and he's from down south. He's from Central Otago, but he's he, we were talking about polar opposites, like my parents. We were probably the same as well, but we get on like a house on fire. Like, um, really good man. He was always challenging as a teammate and as an opponent, and people would look at him different. Because farmers are built differently. Not all of them look like these big muscular athletes.
Mm.
Um, but he was an athlete. He was tough as nails. So for anyone that ever dared to underestimate who they were facing, they did that at their own peril.
Yeah. And then you guys were the combo, eh? You guys were the combo in the All Blacks, the two hookers that, switched around starting and coming off the bench.
Yep.
And so you're in business now, man. And it's the thing is sometimes when I think about Pacific players, sometimes our wingers end up after they retire, with our body shape, they end up looking like front rowers. And then when I look at like Phil Kearns and that, they start to look like wingers. You know what I mean? But you've kept yourself in good nick. Obviously, it's because you've got habits of and discipline in terms of your own personal health. But was a gym always going to be on the cards, or what were you looking for post rugby?
I was just trying to align actually some of the things I was passionate about,
Mm.
things I knew well. Like I've been in pretty much in a gym my whole life. My dad and my mum's brothers owned a gym in Tokoro as well.
Oh,
Um, so whenever my dad was, we talked about him being a bodybuilder. Whenever he was training for his competitions, I'd be always be in there, be on the leg press, playing around the leg press. So
mate,
I should
that's how
be.
you got those big Tupperware pine trunks.
I wish I was doing bench press. I should have been doing bench press that way. Um, but I had been in and all through my career as well, which is just like spent in gyms.
Mm.
So it's probably one thing that I really love, which is understanding that it's good for you anyway. Yeah,
Mm.
it's being able to take care of yourself, but also being in the gym as well. There's a sense of community which we really enjoy and love as well, and that's something that me and my wife are able to do together. So um, yeah, it was trying to find that passion about what is it that I love doing, what is it that I'm good at, and then trying to make that into a business that can be sustainable as well.
Did you always think you were going to go into business, or did you think maybe you might be an employee or get a job somewhere, or was business your preferred option?
I think maybe one of the things I'd learned from support sport was we talk about as well, which is the capability.
Mm.
Are you able to? Do you have enough skill set to do this? Is that married with the passion?
Yeah.
Are you willing to? Do you really want to do this? Is it something that you're excited to get you out of bed to do? So those things, skills, capability, I could learn along the way. Mentoring we talked about earlier, which is great in sport and rugby, but also good in when you're getting into business for the first time. Definitely was something that would get me out of bed because I love doing it, and I know how beneficial it is for myself, but also for if it's something you're creating, then you feel proud about it. So I'm going to make sure I look after do this well.
So how long have you had the gym?
This is coming up. This is coming up 10 years for us.
Oh, congrats, man.
Thank you. It's and it hasn't been easy. Like we've come through COVID as well. We've been through COVID, and that was a tough time, especially for people in the fitness industry, because obviously being in those close spaces, like we were closed for a long time, still paying full rent at the gym. Like having to try and keep people moving and look after their well-being, which we enjoyed doing. So we've been through some tough moments. I think moving ahead as well, we just how do we keep being innovative and bring good energy to the space, because it's definitely a place or a space where it's the market's flooded as well. So there's a lot of gyms around.
Yeah.
Probably in the 2K radius is, I don't know, is probably around 6 or 7, maybe 8 gyms. So you're constantly having to be on your feet, which is great. Challenged, which is great. So you just, when we talk about what drives you, what gets you out of bed, I love doing it because it's something that we've created from nothing. So I feel energetic about wanting to do this, and like I said, just keep it sustainable. Something that I'll hopefully be able to pass on to maybe my kids, or at one stage be able to pass that on to someone.
So leaving a legacy outside of the field, and making sure that others have something to come through on. Bro, what does the future look like for you and your wife and your family? Obviously, you're based in Papakura. You've got your gym around there. You're on the local board. What are some of the main things that you guys are going for?
Yes, well, wifey's got a business up and going as well, and it's in hospitality. So something that she obviously she's got those great skill sets in there as well. So love being able to be there for her as well, because that's she's been a stronghold, she's been a rock over my career, and it's nice to be able to do that for her as well. So we're both business owners and operators as well, which we love.
Yeah.
Um, and in there as well is still our service to our community, which is great. We're able to do that through our gym, get some of our schools through our gym as well. So really looking after the space where we live, but also I've recently just started at Brother Luke's business, which is Mealamu Security.
Yeah. Awesome.
And it's a space that's just his business has exploded. He's been in security for 25 years, and all his hard work and sacrifice. It's a business that's doing really well, but it's gotten so big really quickly that he's asked me to come in and help build that structure for leadership and just around people relations as well. So it's something I'm really enjoying. It's a space that's new to me, but I've always been keen to learn and bring some of the things I've been able to learn in my different roles through to the space as well.
Cool, and I'd love to have Luke on one day. I can see that Mealamu Security is blowing up, and it's great that you're going in there to support with all the insights that you've got around high performance and bringing teams together with a vision and underpinned by values. Manawai's group, our group is hoping to glean off yours as well and bring you in to do some stuff with us around. Right now, we're going through with our senior leadership team, going through the legacy book one chapter at a time, and hopefully we can bring you in further down once you come back from the Rugby World Cup, and you can consult to us and just we can use your skills that you learned through your career with our group, which is really cool.
Hello, I'd love to be the one doing the podcast for you, though.
Oh no, man, no. I'm the host here. I'm the Robin, and you're the Batman. But bro, just quickly, if you could invite two people to dinner, who would they be? Just anyone, like just so we can get a bit of a capture on some of your interests or some of the people who interest you.
Hello, that's probably one of the questions when you asked me before we started this. You got any questions? I should have asked you. Do you have any of those questions?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to be able to have mum back at dinner, just so we can have those, we miss her. I miss her heaps. And gee, I don't know who the other person is. I'm not sure, Ella, actually.
Who's your favorite band?
Favorite band? Oh, it's any of the 90s R&B groups. So there's like Shy, there's Boys to Men.
Oh, Slow Jams guy.
Or the Slow Jams. So yep. It could be any one of those.
And where's your favorite travel destination?
I really enjoyed the last time I went to Japan because I got to go there and me and my wife were there together. It was just the two of us, so that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Lovely people as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I just want to wrap it up there because we've gone over time and I apologize for that. But just, I know that there's so many threads, there's so many gems and bombs that people will take out of it through the, through the unpacking of your career. I do want to say that for me, the word that came up constantly was opportunity. And sometimes, if you spell out opportunity as nowhere, all in one kind of without gaps,
yes,
it can either read opportunity is nowhere or opportunity is now here. And when you keep speaking about opportunity, you're a dude who through your own parents who saw an opportunity to leave Tokoroa, take redundancy, and come up to Auckland. And then you talked about if you're in a red brain, you lock out the opportunity to see spaces on the field where you can capitalize on. And man, I feel like that's a mindset that you have. You're very glass half full. If you make a mistake, you're honest with it, you're vulnerable, and you use it as a lesson to move forward for yourself and others. And then, I kind of got the sense when we were thinking about what did you write, that you would write something like a legacy for the All Blacks, but then you would bring in your family, because I can feel your close knit connection to your family. So, man, all credit to your family and all credit to you for all the things that you've achieved. Like I said, it's been awesome for me as a fan to just sit back and watch your career unfold, and now your entrepreneurship journey's unfolding and unraveling, and loving that as well. Congratulations to your wife too, who's been there over the long haul, and you raised your two kids, and also for the stuff that you're doing in schools and the community and the council. So I just want to say thank you, man, and appreciate your time here on a Sunday Arvo, Sunday night there in New Zealand. And congratulations on all your success. Congratulations to everyone involved in it. And appreciate this time, bro.
Oh, bless you, Olo. Thank you. It's been awesome connecting in again. There's certain people where you just feel that great connection, and definitely being able to see you, catch up with you again back in Samoa, and see how well you've done. Like we talk about what is your calling, man. It's been amazing to see what your calling has been, and what you've been able to enable over in Australia. So we're really proud of what you've been able to achieve too, brother.
Thanks, man. Well, that's the show for this week with All Blacks legend Keven Mealamu. I trust you got some info and insights to assist you in your journey. I know I definitely did and always do when talking and hanging out with Keven. One thing I noticed about Keven is he almost defines and embodies the authentic meaning of humility. If he gets praise, or if I say something he's done is really cool, he accepts it and says thank you, but then quickly moves on to credit others who he thinks are critical in why he gets praised in the first place. Often his wife, Latai, or his children, his family, parents, siblings, mentors. And then he also epitomizes the fact that humility is not soft. And we talk a lot off air about really the importance of defining humility and what it is. through him, we see it's not soft because you can't get over 100 tests for the All Blacks being soft, but rather he framed his toughness as love for his team and a duty to do his best for them all, which includes dominating teams and dominating opposition, but with discipline. The word opportunity came up as a common thread for Keven as well. He mentions it when his parents decided to leave Tokoroa for Auckland, and also when he framed being an All Black. It was an opportunity, and a leader in the pre-season for the Blues. It was an opportunity for him to be the leader he wanted to be, mirroring others around him like Sir Michael Jones, Sir Richie McCaw, the late great Jerry Collins, or even Liam Messam, who led from the bench by playing a key role in preparing the boys who took the field. Lots of lessons and insights in that one for me. Shout out to his wife and his children. Shout out to all the people in his community who have helped him with his success. His parents, obviously, his siblings, Luke who's doing great things with Mealamu security in particular. The Aorere College guys, they had a great first 15 back in the day. He came out and played for Otahu Rugby Club, and then he's affiliated with Papatoe. The Blues, the Chiefs for a brief stint, which is my team, and then the All Blacks. The music's finished, so I've got to get out of here. Thank you so much, Keven. Have a great week. Please subscribe to the Global Bus Week of Success podcast, and then follow Manawai's Group. At Manawai's Group is our handle on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Have a great week and look forward to catching up again.